Amatulia to Assassin's Creed Mordor. Now, unlike Prey, I'm not being sarcastic. There is no clearer way to describe this game. Now, there's no good way to break this review up, so spoilers ahead. This is a very good game. First off, it's extremely odd that it's a Middle Earth game, not a Lord of the Rings game. The setting is pure Jackson movie Middle Earth, but the story is original. You are Talion, a captain of Gondor, stationed at the Black Gate around the year 1980 of the Third Age, 1,040 years before the start of the Lord of the Rings books, during the Witch King's reconquest of Mordor. The story begins with the fall of the Black Gate to Sauron. Now, Minas Ithil is mentioned repeatedly, since it will stand for 22 years before it is conquered and turned into Minas Morgul. Wait, scratch that. Gollum is in this game as a recurring role. This means it's less than 60 years before the book. There's also a humorous Easter egg memory where an Uruk gives a report on the Battle of the Five Armies, which is forgivable due to its hilarity. Everyone gang up on the orcs indeed. Also, everyone's hyping up Sauron's return, despite it being a huge plot point that Sauron was thought dead and the Nazgul were ruling Mordor. This is unfortunate, because aside from these 2 points, the game is quite faithful to the original, with an accurate portrayal of the Forging of the Rings of Power, albeit with some changes made for story, and numerous references to the Silmarillion. It's clear that, aside from executive meddling, the authors were dedicated fans of Tolkien's work. Well, let's ignore Gollum. His role could be excised without losing anything. At this point, there are several human settlements in Mordor, but the orcs are reconquering the place. Half of the game takes place in New Dune, the other half takes place on the Sea of Nirn in southern Mordor, the fertile farming region that's been mentioned but has not shown up in stories before. As I said before, the story begins with the fall of the Black Gate. Talion is captured and ritually murdered alongside his family by the Black Hound of Sauron at the end of the prologue. You are merged with the Wraith of an Elf Lord, which lets you come back to life. You later find out this is Celebrimbor, the Smith King who forged the Ring of Power. Now, ghosts don't normally appear in Tolkien, but the process where Sauron deliberately enacted a dark ritual to keep him there instead of going to the halls of Mandos is similar to burial rites. This brings you back to life with a lot of supernatural abilities, including Eagle Vision, the power to drain life force from enemies, manifest a bow and arrows from the air, and resurrect if you get killed. Later, you get the ability to dominate orcs, so they fight for you. The game starts you off throwing the action with very little explanation. You go around Udun killing orcs in a combat system ripped completely from the Arkham games, and mastering the Nemesis system. That's the core of the game, where you research orc captains, find out their weaknesses, and exploit them. For example, some captains are scared of monsters. Others are instantly killed by sneak attacks. Others are invincible to certain attacks, like this jerk of a nemesis that killed me 3 times. Captains perform quests and can get promoted. It's reminiscent of what the first Assassin's Creed was trying to do, but implemented in mechanics instead of level design. And gathering intel is much faster, so avoids that game's problems. After you kill all the local war chiefs, find artifacts to find out more about Celebrimbor's past, and kill one of the guys who killed you in the first place, you are met by Lithariel, Princess of Nirn, whose mother wants to talk to you. You go to Nirn, where Queen Marwen, possessed by Saruman, tells you how to mind control orcs. You begin to do so, and slowly take over the army of Nirn by replacing all the war chiefs, either by beating them to a pulp and turning them, or dominating their junior officers and letting them get Klingon promotions. During this time, you also go monster hunting with the dwarf Torvin, which is a nice aside, and help Lithariel fight the orcs. Then you take your army of possessed orcs and go hunt the Black Hand. You meet the Black Hand on top of the Black Gate, ironically enough. He then drains Celebrimbor and turns into Sauron, whom you fight in a quick-time event battle. The end. It really is that sudden. The story is very good overall, and Celebrimbor's flashbacks are excellent. Even the retcons that makes the story work. with Celebrimbor fulfilling Galadriel's famous Dark Queen speech. That is an extremely weak beginning and ending. Seems like they're going for a, yeah, let's get it on, and the story continues, that ended up with a, why are we doing this again? And next time on Shadow of Mordor. Especially the final boss. While it makes sense in story to have a final boss be fairly easy, quick time events, it's just disappointing. Also, the morality of mind-controlling orcs is never touched upon. They really are treated like monsters more than people. Carried over from Jackson films, you never see a female orc or a child, and every last one of them is killable. Even those fighting for you are mind-controlled minions, not followers. An adaptation I think that handles this better is the Rankin Bass Return of the King. They had one unexpected song. Where there's a whip, there's a way. It's an orcish Martian song, which is just as goofy as it sounds. It's our only glimpse of the orcs not fighting, shows while these are bad guys, they're still guys. Don't see that here. Now, in the Nemesis system, orc captains have their own personalities and go on quests. Those that manage to kill you or succeed in their quest get promoted, getting new positive attributes. Those that survive encounters remember how you fought them. Some that you kill even recover from their wounds to fight you again. Names are also reflected in their actions. Blog the Stupid lives up to his name in dialogue. Narzeg the Coward retreats easily, and two characters called the Twin use the same character model. There are never any moral choices in killing or dominating them. They are living targets. It's still just targets. Fortunately, the DLC fixes all of these issues. The Bright Lord campaign is a flashback to the Second Age, where Celebrimbor takes the One Ring and tries to conquer Mordor. This one is a very clearly a villain-protagonist situation, which allows for such dark but morality-free actions. As a game, I highly recommend it. It's actually a better Assassin's Creed game than most Creed games are. As for the criticism I gave the story, I will give them huge points for writing a new story. Not a single character of the Fellowship appears. It's not in any way a copy of the existing work. Wish we'd get more storytelling like this. The world of Middle Earth is so rich. It's a shame we only get to see a tiny slice of it repeatedly. Tena Intalume. Until next time, y'all.